Hey everybody, Mr. Morrell here, and we're going to talk about homework assignment 10.1, which is slope form equations. Now I know that the front side of this worksheet looks a little intense. It's all level 1, which means we need to do the whole thing. But it really is just full of steps. It's like trying to explain to you kind of what we're doing here on the back side. So it's just to give us practice. Like if you notice here in this table, we've got an explanation about the steps, and then we will have an example, and then you're going to do a practice one. Alright? So, let's just follow it here. Step 1 says we need to label. We want to label x1 and y1 in the point you are given. So, if you were given the point -1 and 5, we would label our x1 number and our y1 number. Step 2, we want to plug information in that we already know. So we were given our slope, a slope of 2. That goes right here. So then we're going to do x minus x1, which in this example is -1, plus y1, which is -5. Step 3 is kind of broken up into substeps. First thing is we need to simplify any confusing minus negatives things, or plus negatives, whatever. So in this example here, we have x minus -1. We can simplify that just to say x plus 1 minus 5. Okay? Next, we need to distribute the slope. So if we distribute the 2 like this, we're going to get 2x plus 2 plus -5. And last thing is we want to combine like terms. So we have a positive 2 and a -5. So at the end of the day, we have 2x minus 3. Alright, let's go on down. Sometimes we're not told the slope. Like up here in this example, we were given that m equals 2, and that was really nice. But sometimes we're only given 2 lines. So that's what this example is going to talk us through. Step 1 is the same. We want to label x1 and y1, and then also x2 and y2. So let's do x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, next we want to figure out our slope. So to find our slope, we're going to use this formula here. Okay? Now, in a minute, I usually have my students take different steps than what I'm showing you in this video. I'll show you both, but this that I'm taking you through in this video is the very standard common thing that is kind of taught throughout the nation. Alright, so then what we're going to do is y1 minus y2 at the top. So that would be 9 minus -6 divided by x1 minus x2 at the bottom. -1 minus 4. And then we want to simplify that. So 9 minus -6 is 15. -1 minus 4 is -5, which simplifies to be -3. Now in class, what I'm going to teach my students to do is to just make themselves a mini table and to put the points in that table like this, because that's something that they're used to seeing. And from there, I tell them to figure out our changes. Oh, sorry, I ran out of room. So how do you move from 9 to -6? And the reason why I have them do that is they're so used to doing that because we've been doing it all year. So to go from 9 to -6 is we would subtract 15. And to go from -1 to 4, we would, I'll write it up here, add 5. Then our slope is going to be our change of y, -15, divided by 5, which is also -3. It's the same thing that we got before. Okay, let's continue. Now we can do step 3 where we plug everything in. We know our slope is -3, x1 is -1, y1 is 9. We want to simplify any confusing sign, so we would have -3 and then in parentheses x plus 1 plus 9. Then we would distribute the slope so that we would have -3x plus -3 plus 9. And then we would combine our like terms. -3 plus 9 is a +6. Alright, now let's just go on to the back side and let's do just a couple of examples here. Okay, so we know that we are going to have y equals blank, which will be our slope, parentheses x minus our x number, plus our y number. So we're told that our slope is 1, x1 is 4, y1 is 6. We can simplify any confusing signs. I don't see any confusing signs right now, so that's good. So then let's just distribute this 1. So y equals 1x minus 4, because 1 times 4 is 4, plus 6. And then we can combine our like terms, negative 4 and 6. So then we would have 1x. You don't have to write the 1, but you can. Negative 4 plus 6 is a positive 2. So the slope of the equation, the slope of the line that goes between those 2 points, or goes through those 2 points, is y equals 1x plus 2. Let's do question 5 together. So for question 5, same thing. We're going to do y equals blank, parentheses, x minus blank, parentheses, plus blank. We're going to have our slope, then x1, and then y1. Alright, so in this example, our slope is 2, and then our x1 is negative 8, and then our y1 is negative 10. Let's go ahead and distribute. Oh, but before we distribute, we got some confusing signs, so I'm going to change that minus negative to say x plus 8. Alright, so we got y equals 2x, and then plus 2 times 8 is 16, plus negative 10. Combine like terms, so y equals 2x plus 6, because 16 plus negative 10 is a positive 6. Alright, next up, we'll do question 7 together. Okay, question 7. To figure out my slope, I could use that formula thingy, but I prefer the table method, so I'm just going to make myself a table here. I've got a negative 7 and a negative 1, then a negative 1 and a negative 7. Ooh, that looks tricky. Alright, now to find our slope, I want to ask myself, how do I move from here to here? Well, in my calculator, I could type negative 7 minus negative 1, and that's going to tell me negative 6. Then on this side, I'm going to do negative 1 minus negative 7, and that's going to tell me a positive 6. So my slope is going to be negative 6 divided by a positive 6, which equals negative 1. So my equation, I know, equals y equals negative 1 is my slope, parentheses x minus, you could pick either x number, I'm just going to stick with this one as my x1 right here, x minus negative 7 plus negative 1. I'm going to go ahead and fix the confusing signs to say plus a positive 7, and now I'm going to distribute. So y equals negative 1x plus negative 7 plus negative 1. Combine like terms, and my answer is y equals negative 1x plus negative 8. Alright. Cool. Let's do question 10 together. Same thing. Ugh, it's so much trickiness. I'm going to use this space over here to make my table so you can see it okay. So negative 3, negative 7, 9, and 3. Alright, ask yourself, how do I go from negative 7 to 3? What am I adding? Well, let's do 3 minus negative 7 in our calculator, and that's a positive 10. We're adding 10 on that side. How do I go from negative 3 to 9? Well, 9 minus negative 3 is a positive 12. So my slope is going to be 10 over 12, which does simplify to be 5/6. That's what's going to make these level 3 questions kind of tricky. We're going to deal with some fractions. But if you've got your calculator, it will do most of the work. Alright, so we know we have y equals 5/6 parentheses x minus negative 3 parentheses plus negative 7. Take care of that minus negative right there before I distribute. So then y equals 5/6 x plus, I think that's 15/6, which actually, if you do that in your calculator, I'm doing this in my head, is going to simplify to be 5 halves plus -7. And then we combine these two like terms, and we'll get an answer y equals 5/6 x. Again, doing this in my head, I think that's plus -9 halves, I think. Double check me if I'm wrong. Let me know. I can re-record this video if I need to. And that's cool. Okay. So, your hint on this level 4 question is that we have an equation, or we have a line drawn here, and I want to show you that we're going to get the same equation of that line no matter which points we pick. So you're going to want to pick 2 different points for, like you're basically picking 4 points altogether. So we've got a point here, 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 here. It does not matter which ones you pick, but let's say that you pick this yellow point here, that can go on there. Let's say that you pick this point here, that can go there. If you pick this point here, that can go there. And pick this point here, here, and that can go there. And then you're going to do the same steps we have been doing to show that you would get the exact same equation of that line that we're used to getting. Alright, good luck with that. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye!